folks, welcome back to Farming Simulator and the first tutorial I have done in a long time, and we're going to be looking at variable tire pressure by Hot Shot Pepper. This is a very cool mod. I'm going to do a quick demo of how it works, and then I'm going to show you how to add it to modded vehicles. There are instructions built into the mod, but I thought I'd work through them, show people how to actually add it to a mod, because sometimes that's useful for people. So if you can just follow the instructions, crack on, you'll be fine. It's not that difficult, but if you want to see how to do it, I'm going to show you. So this mod adds variable tire pressure to vehicles. It's not just a visual change, it does actually change the grip of the vehicle, and I'm going to show that in a bit with what I've got set up here. Support for base game vehicles and DLC vehicles is done automatically, and it gets added to tractors, slurry tankers, self-propelled slurry spreaders, manure spreaders, sprayers, combines, forage harvesters, loading wagons, auto wagons. It's a very cool mod. So you can, with a few shortcut keys, deflate or inflate the tires on the tool or trailer that's attached to the tractor, the tractors, or all of the vehicles in one go. And then there are some menus that you can bring up to change the configuration. So by default you have a road setting and a field setting. The field setting gives you more grip. Once you go onto a road, it seems to automatically re-inflate the tires, which I think is kind of cool. And then if you want, and you can see down by the HUD for the vehicle, you've got this little HUD displayed. You can get rid of that by pressing Control Alt and J together. That will hide that if you don't want that visible. And then if you press Control Alt and U, you can bring up a full HUD to configure a whole load of options. So you can change the road and field pressures for the front and rear tires, and you can change the deformation and the height. So this changes the look of how things are. It doesn't change how they perform. You do that when you're setting things up in the XML. So quick demo, then we'll have a look at some of these settings. I'll do that on a road so you can see the changes, and then we'll look at how you add it in. So if I jump in this little Deutsch tractor, we're on Rennebu, and we're on quite a steep hill, and I've got a trailer full of stones, and you can see that we are struggling to pull that up the hill with lots of wheel spin. So if I hit Alt and T, you will see the tires start to air down. It's kind of hard to see the visual effect because we are in long grass. I will move over to being on some easier to see terrain in a moment. I just wanted to show the actual effect. So we've aired down the tires now, and we have more traction, and we can pull this pretty heavy trailer up the hill. So yes, it does have more than a visual effect. So you're saying it has more than a visual effect. You can't really see the visual effect with what I'm doing here. So there is a mod that has this available that I'm aware of, which is a tractor by Hot Shot Pepper. And this really helps if you want to understand. I haven't actually got it active, which is kind of annoying. 1 second. Okay, so I've added in the mod. This is a tractor by Hot Shot Pepper. The reason I want to show this one off is it has the full integration of the mod, including the dashboard features. I'm not going to show you how to do the dashboard features because most mods won't have the nodes and the display bits that are needed in the i3D file to do that. I'm just going to show you how to add the functionality. So bear that in mind, please. If you're capable of doing all of that work, you don't need this tutorial. So hopefully I'm picking a set of tires that has the variable tire pressure available. And I've forgotten again to reset the store point to the shop. So we will buy 2 of these tractors. Because, why wouldn't you want to cool John Deere tractors? And there we go. So we have the variable tire pressure display or HUD up. If we jump in cab here, you can see it up there on the mini display there. And if we then air down the tires, there it goes. That's pretty cool, actually. So that's a example of a full integration. And if we go outside, because this is why we're here, and so we're in the light. So fully inflated tires, you can actually see them inflating. And then if we air the tires down, you will see they actually visually air down. But as you saw earlier, this is not just a visual change. You do get an increase in traction. And then if you're not happy with visually how it looks, you can come in, grab this HUD, and you can change things. So you've got field deformation and road deformation. And then you've got minimum tire height. And bear in mind that changes you make to this might not look perfect. So obviously the tractor is kind of sinking into the ground a little bit. Now it's going to look different when it's in a field. But yeah, you know, if you do adjust it, you might have to spend a bit of time. The little bit that I've done with this, the default, I think looked okay. And as I said, I think if you start driving I don't know if it's too quickly, there we go. So if you're going too quickly, the tires will then start to air up. So now I've got another mod installed, which I'm going to show you to show that it doesn't have them. So John Deere 6R, Trelleborg standard tires. We're going to need some more cash. If you're wondering, if you've got this far through the video and you're still wondering, yes, this is a PC only mod. It uses scripts. If you're going to complain that it's a PC only mod, that's a problem to take up with Microsoft and Sony because they block script mods. If you're going to complain in the comments of the video, there's nothing I can do about it. And if you're going to complain in the comments of the video, you're one of the reasons I stopped doing videos like this. So there we go. John Deere 6R with the standard Trelleborg tires, no variable tire pressure. So this is the tractor that we're going to edit because I intend to use this on one of my upcoming Let's Play series. So let's save the game. We'll go out to the desktop and I'll show you how to add the basic functionality to this. But let's save the game first. So you're going to need two tools for doing this. I like using 7-zip to unzip the mod files. And I like using Notepad++ to do the editing, but any text file editor will work. You are going to need to locate your mods folder. That is probably in Documents, My Games, Farming Simulator 25 mods. If you are struggling to find your mods folder, then this tutorial is probably not for you. If you find that a bit harsh, well, that's the reality of editing mods. Any mod that you are going to edit, take a backup copy of and put somewhere else so that if you do it wrong, you can go back to the original. If you do this and it doesn't work, try again. You probably missed a step or you did something wrong in the steps that I'm going to take you through. So that's kind of the basics of things. I'm going to change where I am because I actually have mine in a mods folder called mods VTP. You will probably be in your mods folder, but I use multiple mods folders to manage different things. So yeah. But you will probably be in a folder called Farming Simulator 25 /mods. And what we're going to do is a several step process. You obviously need to have downloaded variable tire pressure and put it in your mods folder. We are going to unzip this because we need to take some files out of it for the sounds. So I'm using Windows 11. You might be using a different version of Windows, using Windows 11. To get to 7-zip with Windows 11, you need to do show more options. We're going to go 7-zip, and I'm going to select extract to FS25 variable tire pressure. This is the mod that I'm going to be editing. You might be doing a different one. The structure of things might be a bit different. I'll talk about that once we get in there. But again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to right click on it, show more options, 7-zip, extract to whatever the name of your mod is. Now, the important step with this, that mod, because you've copied it and put it back up somewhere else, delete the zipped version. You don't want to keep that original zip version in your mods folder. Now, we're also going to take the John Deere 8R that has the bits of code that we need. We're going to right click on that, and we're going to show more options, 7-zip, extract to. That just makes it easier to get the bits of text that we need. Cool. So we're going to go into variable tire pressure. If you look in docs, there is a PDF. There we go. So there is a PDF with instructions in German and English to take you through how to install it if you want to go through the instructions on your own. I'm not going to use this predominantly because it's kind of tricky to copy the text out because it's a PDF, although actually it seems to be behaving okay at the moment. But yeah, when I was trying to do this before, I found that it didn't behave particularly well when I was trying to copy. This is essentially the code that you need, and you see, yeah, it doesn't want to highlight properly. So we're going to use the mod that the mod creator has to do this because it's easier. What we're going to do though is go back into variable tire pressure. We're going to go into assets and we're going to copy the sounds directory. So right click on it, select copy. We're going to go back up to our mods folder. We're going to go into the mod we want to edit. This might have a sounds folder in it already. If it does, whatever that's called, copy the files from the folder we've just copied into that. We don't have one, so I'm going to paste the whole folder in. There are 3 files in here, but if your mod has a sounds folder that's called something or called something else, copy those files into that folder. In fact, no, I'm going to change that advice because it will make things easier. Even if it has a sounds folder that's called something different, copy this folder in because that will make the XML easier. Sorry if that's confusing. I don't script these videos. I know what I want to achieve, but I think better advice is to create the new folder that has this name because that way it's going to make the XML easier. So yeah, copy the folder from the variable tire pressure mods folder into the folder for your mod. What we want to do then is we can, because we've got everything we need, delete the unzipped version of variable tire pressure. We just want to keep the zipped version. We're then going to go into the John Deere 8R folder and open up the Series 8 XML file. Then, I'm just going to make that a bit smaller so that you guys can actually see it on the screen. Okay. Okay, if you then go back into the mods folder for whatever tractor you're editing, find the XML file for that tractor, open that up, and we're then going to go into the XML file for the 8R. And you'll see there's a block of text which is titled variable tire pressure. And as I said, you'll see there's a big chunk of bit that says dashboard. Do not copy that. Your mod's i3D file and the XML file will not have the relevant bits for it to work. All we want to take is that very first line, highlight it, press Ctrl C to copy it, go across to your mod's XML file, scroll down, and where you see the end of the base section, so where it says /base in the pointy brackets, make a bit of space and copy in that first line of variable tire pressure. We then go back to the ATAR XML and we want to grab the bit that goes up to sound. Okay, and the bit that closes the variable tire pressure section. So highlight that, press Ctrl C, go back to your module editing, just under the line you created, paste that in. So you should, if you're using Notepad++, get this bit around it on the edge because it's realized that you've opened a section of code and closed it. And in the middle, you've just got the lines for the sound. You have not copied the dashboard bit. If you have, it will not work. And your mod will probably not load and you will get errors. Okay. If you want to make the sound effects louder or quieter, you can change that with the volume scale here. If you want the grip increasing effect to be more, you could change that here. You make number bigger. I've not really messed about with changing any of these. It just seemed to work okay when I did things. So you've got your default pressures here. You've got how long it takes here. Yeah. We're not done. If you think you're done and you've gone away and because you think you know what you're doing, you probably found that when you loaded it into the game, none of your tires had variable tire pressure, and you probably sat and wrote a comment saying, I did exactly what you said and it didn't work. Yeah. If you're wondering why I'm so cynical going through this, I used to make a lot of these videos and people watched half of it and came back and told me they followed all the instructions and it didn't work, which is why I stopped making them. So the next step that we need to do, if you don't like this cynical me, well, go find someone else who's made this tutorial. Is do a quick search. So press Control F, that brings up the search window, and type in VTP. It's the easiest way to find the next bit of code that we need. And what you want is VTP equals true. Highlight that, so hold down the left mouse button, drag it across, press Control C once you've highlighted it. So what we need to do now is tell the mod which tire configurations you want variable tire pressure to be active on. I suspect this is where most people will start to make mistakes. And if we look, the place where you are adding this is after, well, it doesn't particularly matter, but the place that I've been adding it, because I copy what the modder has done, is after the price for a tire configuration. So if I go into my mod, and this mod is somewhat complicated for how it does tire configurations, but where I see the price, I make a space and I paste in VTP. And that seems to have worked. So I'm in the wheels section. So for wheel configurations, and where I see wheel configuration name equals price, I put the VTP equals true. Assuming you want variable tire pressure for that tire configuration, that's what you need to do. So we go through doing that. And I think this is a place where it's going to be very easy for people to make mistakes because they've got to sit and find the right place to put things and paste in the text in the right place. And you don't have to do all the configurations. You might not want variable tire pressure on all of the configurations. Maybe if you're doing this for the first time, just do it on the first one. Make sure you get it working. That might be a better suggestion. Just so you know it works, and then you could come back and add it to more as you needed to. So we'll just go through adding those in. Um, it felt like this tractor had a lot of tire configurations. So I've already done this once for this tractor as a test, just to make sure that I knew how to do it. It's never a good idea to do a tutorial without having tested it yourself, folks. So I do know that this approach works, and there we can see at the end with the wheel configuration being closed out. So we then save. Hopefully I've not made any typos in there, and this should have added variable tire pressure to all of the configs. So just to remind you, you need to put the VTP equals true against the tire configs you want to have variable tire pressure. And for the so after the base part of the initial bit of XML, you need to have copied this bit in. And as I said, when we were copying those sounds across from the variable tire pressure mod folder, keeping them in the same sounds folder means that you don't have to worry about changing any of this stuff. So we save this and close it. Assuming you've done everything right, you can now delete the folder for the John Deere 8R. If this is your first time doing editing like this, or if you've just done the one config as a test, I would suggest at this point you load the game up, make sure that it works. The game will load the mod in an unzipped form from the folder, as long as you're not playing multiplayer, just fine. If you're playing multiplayer, the game has to have zipped files, zipped mods. What I'm going to do next is show you how to rezip it. So this is important. This is a step many people get wrong. Go into the folder so you're at the level that you can see the mod description. Many people go into the wrong level when they are rezipping mods. You need to be at the level you can see the mod description file. This one. Okay. Press Control A. That selects all of the files and folders. Right click. Show more options. 7-zip. And we want to add to the name of the mod .zip. That creates the zip file again. Select it. Press Ctrl X to cut it. Go back to your mods folder and press Ctrl V. That puts it back there. And another important step, you then want to either copy the unzipped version to another folder or delete it. I'm just going to delete it, and then we'll reload the game. First thing to be aware of as you load back into the game will tell you that there is an update available to the mod that you have edited, because it will detect that it is different to the version that is available on ModHub. It's a wonderful feature of how Giants have changed the game. It will always tell you there is an update available. Yeah, it's just a feature of if you're going to be editing mods, that's what the game will do. It will tell you an update is available. Be aware of it. It's part of the fun of editing mods. Okay, we're back in the game. Now, step one, the vehicle is still here. That's a good sign. So some things to bear in mind. If you reload the game and the mod doesn't appear, go back out. Go to the folder where your mods folder was. You'll find a log file. The log file will help you maybe understand what you did wrong. Often with doing these kind of edits, the best thing to do is probably to start again. And if you've struggled, I would start again with the most basic changes. So step one would be just to add that first block of XML code. Do that and make sure that the mod still loads without adding any variable tire pressure configs, and then add that config to the first set of tires and then build from there. Do that without rezipping the mod and then rezip the mod. So build, if you're having issues, build up in stages. Do it step by step. That's the best way to do this kind of thing. If you're new to doing mod edits, is to do it incrementally. Yes, I just did it in one go. It's the second time I've edited this tractor, and I've done a lot of editing mods, and I've made mods, so I have an advantage if you're new to this. So let's jump in and have a look, shall we? And there we go. You'll see we have our variable tire pressure options available, and if we hit Alt T, our tires will now de-air. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I really like this mod. I only discovered it at the weekend because I've not been keeping up with mods that are available, and this is a really nice addition to the game. If, like me, you tend to run smaller farms, or you tend to have slightly underpowered tractors, this can get you out of a bit of a bind, maybe, where you're running implements which may be a little bit big for the tractor. This might give you that extra bit of grip you need. Or if you're on a map which is a bit more challenging and got a bit more terrain, like Renabu, for example. Yeah. And it just adds like a nice cool feature. So, yeah. Hopefully you found this useful. If you get stuck, step one, start again. Use the log file, and there is the comment section. It's kind of hard to do this kind of fault finding in the comment section, and I will tell you initially to just go start again. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful. It's a very cool mod. Thank you to the modder for adding this feature into the game. Thank you to the patrons and YouTube channel members for their support, and I'll see you next time.